Um, for this one, Demina O'Reilly at Logan Airport, TSA, one of the questions that we're starting off with is to ask you guys, what do you think it would be like to work as a TSA agent?
Stressful.
That's not what I would have thought of because I grew up traveling with my dad because he was in the service, and so airports are not something I'm afraid of. So being it stressful, I would never thought it would be stressful, though it probably could be. But I actually would probably enjoy it only because of the people coming in from different parts of the country and from out of the country, and all the characters and the conversation we would have. That's something I would actually really enjoy. Anybody else?
I think it would
I
only
would
be
have.
stressful just because you're responsible for the international safety. That's kind of a large load.
Yeah, that's what I was. It's not a maybe not as stressful because I was thinking it's stressful and boring at the same time.
Mhm.
But I think it's self-imposed stress because you screw up, you really screw up.
Mhm.
Mhm. Now, let me see. Has anybody ever worked in this type of position before? TSA? As an
No.
No.
Yeah, no. Let me think. Now, if this was your job, let me see, what do you think you would like or dislike about the job?
Well, I would definitely like working with the people. I used to be in customer service, so I do like that.
Hmm.
And you can make it a fun job if you want to, or you can go in. It depends on your attitude if you like working with people. And you have to just realize that everyone's different. Everyone's going to have a bad day, and it's how you respond to them that matters. So I think I would enjoy working with the people. I really do.
Yeah, me too. Anybody else?
I think we're all coughing.
Yes, that's okay. I think the only thing I would probably dislike about the job, maybe the hours, if I had to go into overtime a lot. And then probably like maybe because you come in contact with so many people, the germs. When it comes to security and stuff, anything that's a challenge, I actually look forward to because it's always a learning experience, and being able to broaden my horizons is something I like to do often. So the security there, though, I can understand how stressful it could be, but I don't know if I would really see it as very stressful. I think I would enjoy it just for the challenge that it brought. Now, let me see. Jill,
Yes.
what do you think O'Reilly should do about Sanchez?
Well, I've really thought about that today. She likes him as an employee, and he does a good job. I think she needs to give him a paid day off, as it was suggested in that punishment without discipline, or that other article that we read.
Hmm.
Discipline without punishment. I think he needs to have a day off without pay to think about what happened because he was on the phone with his daughter. And, it didn't seem like he was on the phone with her due to an emergency type situation. He was just wanting her to get her homework done. Um, he needed to figure another way of communicating with her on that because he wasn't a very, very, uh, the position he was in for his job was he couldn't take a second off of the work, the people going through. And because he did, that person got through. So yeah, I think she should say, I don't like doing this, but it's to help you do a better job going forward and to help our company and to protect our people that we're responsible for. So just take a day off, think about it. I can't pay you, and then come back and let's start fresh. That's what I would do.
Hmm. Paul, would you do anything different?
I would do. My suggestion would have been to do a retrain. Uh, Start back and retrain. I don't want to fire you, but I do want to retrain you and then put that in your record that this mishap did happen. If this becomes a pattern, then I need to eliminate you. But I'm all about, hey, second chances, but maybe need to reiterate the basics and the importance of the job, but I'm not into firing the guy.
Very good. And Kim, how about you? Would you do anything different?
I probably would have done the unpaid day off, give him time to think about it and realize how big a mistake it actually was. Because however minor he might think it is, it could have potentially been totally devastating. And so maybe just a day for him to realize how big it was, and then to kind of come up with a different way to communicate with his daughter, whether he takes breaks during the day or whatever to make sure he communicates with her, or he switches out a shift for 15 minutes and just says, hey, can you cover this or whatever, or can we do this, something so that he has that time.
Okay. Now, if Sanchez is fired, who would replace him?
Good question, because it seems like he's pretty hard to replace because he's a very friendly people person.
Yeah, that's why I don't like firing people. Your replacement could be even worse or better, but you always take that chance. And the amount of retraining or training in that, that's why I'll give you a chance. But I've had it where I've had employees that, they're gone, and it's been a great blessing, and like, hey, they got rid of the drama, the whatever, complexity, and all the errors. Then you get the next guy on, and it's like, oh boy, I got the same thing. I was better off with that other guy.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, if he was kept on, what do you guys think the other TSOs would think?
Well, I think it depends on what you did to correct the problem. So, like Paul said, if you did some retraining and they were all aware of it, or if you had him have a day off, I think that they're watching and they're listening. So if they see that you're doing something about it and not ignoring it, that's the main thing.
Yeah.
So do you
I agree.
think...
You also don't want to go too big and totally scare them from wanting to do the job at all because they're afraid to make any kind of small mistake or anything.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So do you I'm sorry. So is a discipline without punishment approach appropriate in this case?
Well, that's why I have a hard time understanding what this discipline without punishment. Because I'm like you're going to retraining, and because you need to get, and it's going in your file, or even the suspended with a day's pay. I'm still going, well, you had to do a day reflection, and I still go, this is still punishment. So I don't understand. Maybe I don't understand that principle, because I'm like, you're still getting something. There's still consequences for your actions.
I agree. So I also would consider a day without pay a form of punishment. Okay.
But a day without pay, I mean, I've been in situations to where you're put on what they call a PIP, which is a performance evaluation, where you're put on you're watched for like 8 weeks, and you're weekly you go in and talk with your boss, and you talk about everything that you did for the week. To me, that's punishment, I guess, because I was the supervisor and I had to do it. But just one day, you reflect, you come back, you start over, and then it's over. I guess it just depends on how you look at it.
Right. So the next question.
Not that I give him war stories or something funny, but we had a guy get a PIP, and his PIP was to show up or work by 9 o'clock and work an 8-hour day. And he was in there for 2 months, and he didn't make it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I'm like, just work 8 hours and show up by 9. That was it. That was all was written in this performance review thing.
Now, the next question asks, is there ever a time when discipline without punishment is ever appropriate? I think in a case like this, it would probably have been okay to not discipline him if he did everything he possibly could have, and the guy somehow got by. That wasn't a fault of his. I think that disciplining is one thing, but punishing him for something that he didn't do wrong or foresee, I think that would have been a time when punishment wouldn't be warranted. Like maybe he came in on the opposite end of the terminal somehow from the tarmac, and there was an open door and he got in that way. But I think there are times when discipline or punishment is not warranted, but discipline is. And sometimes discipline could just be verbal, pulling him aside and talking to him, and giving him that written warning. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I thought this is a mistake that can be corrected. But I'm like, if you show up to work, that's to say 2 hours late, high as a kite, drunk as a skunk, or something like that. Okay, then we got a behavioral problem. I can deal with work-related problems. When it comes to be personal problems, like you're an alcoholic or a druggie, or you like playing World of Warcraft and like to stay up all night, then those are positions. Then that's the time that I will really enforce the discipline to mean I get the second chance and really be stern with the discipline. But like this thing is, I can correct the job performance because, okay, you can't talk to your daughter on the cell phone during work hours. You have to pay attention. You got to make sure you follow protocol. That I can correct, but it's I go with the part where your personal problems interfere with your work.
The next question, I wasn't quite sure how to answer, so I'm wondering what you guys are thinking. It says, is it time for Sanchez to take a paid decision-making day?
Oh, a paid day.
Mm-hmm.
A paid day off? Oh. No. I wouldn't pay him for what happened.
I wouldn't either, because I thought with this situation, I'm like going, okay, maybe you don't want to work here. Maybe you're bored with the job and it's not something that stimulates you, or you want to see this as a career.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need you to take a day off to reflect on that. Nor it's a government job, but I'm like, you can come up with that. You can go home and think about that with your family or your in prayer or contemplate whatever, but you don't need a day off and pay for that.
Right.
Now, the next question says, will the chosen course of action satisfy the airports and the public?
I think it's hard to satisfy everyone, but I would say it should do a satisfactory job. I mean, one mistake, if any other job make a small mistake, he didn't, because it wasn't like a full-on terrorist attack or anything that happened from that, something like that, I could imagine probably more serious actions would be taken. But because nothing actually really happened, people are human, people make some mistakes, and it's not like he was deliberately letting people by. It was he was talking to his daughter at home, kind of thing. And I think everybody kind of should understand that they're human, and he's got a family, and there's only so much you can do about that. That I think it should be okay.
Yeah, I agree with Kimberly. You're never going to be able to satisfy everyone.
Mm-mm. No. And you know what? There's probably been a time in everybody's single life when they were on the job and they had to stop to call home or a child or something.
Yeah.
Now, the next question says, would it be appropriate to punish Sanchez to send a message to the airports, to the public, and other TSOs, even if punishment wouldn't improve Sanchez's performance?
The question was, would it be appropriate to punish Sanchez even if it would not improve his performance?
Right, just to send a message.
Oh. Well, yeah, I think you need to send a message to him and to the other PSA agents, like the either the unpaid day off or the retraining. Yeah, something that he needs to understand that it was what you did was serious. We're going to do this to help fix it, and hopefully it'll remind you in the future that you don't do that, because you need to take your job more seriously. No one wants to go through retraining, and no one wants to get an unpaid day. So, yeah, I mean, I think any more severe than that isn't necessary. Someone else might want it to be more severe, but we need to do what's best for the airport, and we need to do what's best for the employee and the company as a whole, because he is a good employee. We don't want to lose that in him,
And not that I go political, but if I was the man, if I was Sanchez, or let's say, Who's the boss?
O'Reilly.
O'Reilly. Yeah, O'Reilly. I was thinking, okay, yeah, O'Reilly. If I was O'Reilly, yeah, I don't want to make myself. I don't want to make people an example. That's not my style. Uh, the way I would address this thing is that this problem was done with administratively, and it was corrected, and we expect no further problems from the situation. But what I did or how I did it, I really go as none of. I mean, as long as I'm taking the blame or the buck stops with me, is that I'm taking the corrective action with the employee, and here's what we're doing to make it fixed. You don't need to know how I'm making the hot dogs. You just need to know that I got the hot dog ready and it's ready to go. I'm not, because my thing is you should punish in private and reward in public. And to do that, make an example of people, then it's like everyone, like you said before, everyone's out there watching their collar, and then you got people who always want to like nitpick or tattletale, and oh, I don't like him, so I finally got, oh, look at that. I'd rather have people help up instead of put downs and not work in fear.
I like that.
Okay. So the next one says, if no one thinks he should be fired, would it have taken, what would it have taken to fire him?
If he had done it consistently, like he had been warned, and he did it again the very next day or the very next week, that would raise eyebrows, I believe.
Yeah, I think deliberately doing something would be that point. If he's doing things on purpose or continually, then I think that should be it.
And I hate to go with the hypocrite thing, the what if, because it didn't happen. Nothing. There was no Paris attack. No one got nothing blew up. If something did get blow up and it was a total breach, then I would have no choice to please the public and everything. I had to fire him. But since there wasn't a if, you get to keep your job. That's the only way I would have fired him, if there would have been an if.
Yes, I agree, because he doesn't have a history of repeat offenses with not, taking necessary precautions. So I agree with that. The next one is, bless you, Sanchez's negligence in this case resulted in a 45-minute closure of the terminal, significant travel delays across the country, and embarrassment to the airport TSA. How bad would it have to be to fire? Does the severity of the consequences make a difference if it is the result of the same behavior? You know what? I think when it comes to just being in that position and the way the airports are linked and how the schedules run and the effects one airport can have on the other, I think that's just the norm. Even when storms come in, other airports get affected. I think that even though it was a 45-minute closure, I think that's a part of the security, the precautions they have to take before they get everything back opened and running again. So I don't think, it says, does the severity of the consequences make a difference if the result is the same behavior? I think that if he was a repeat offender, like we said before, then I think the results would have been worse, or should I say his consequences should have been much worse than they were. But other than that, I don't think so, because he's in a position, he has a lot of responsibility on his hands, and things happen. It's a part of everyday life. They're in that position.
Right.
Let's see. Anybody else regarding that? Good. All right. Now, it says, ask a member on your team, was the security breach entirely Sanchez's fault? Why or why not?
Well, I would say no. I've never been to an airport that didn't have like 25 TSA right there.
Yeah, he wasn't.
Somebody should have caught it.
He wasn't the only checkpoint, was he?
No.
I'm looking at the diagram, and I'm with Kimberly. I've been through several airports as well, and there's like 10 people at least standing around, police officers and whatever else. So I don't think it was entirely his fault.
Right. I don't think so either. In what ways did the TSA contribute to the breach?
My only thing is, I can't believe you were allowed to walk around with your cell phone. That should have been put in your wall locker. That's the only thing I got is, I'm surprised that you have your cell phone on you.
Okay. Let's see. What could they have done better to prevent this situation? Could they have possibly doubled up?
Well, you know what gets me is he didn't go through. He bypassed the X-ray machines.
Mm-hmm.
He bypassed the operators. Excuse me. So what were they doing when he rushed through? You know, there's also that where they pat down people. I mean, I had to be patted down once. So yeah, there were several people that. What were they doing? That's what I would want to know. Why are they just pointing fingers at him?
Because he's the one with the cell phone. So it's easy to blame him.
Yeah.
That's right. Oh, man.
And I think it's human nature to, some people don't have that meanness to go, hey, stop, or, should I tell them to stop or should I tell them? Because I go, that's that lack of training kind of thing.
Yeah.
And not that I can parallel, but when I was at a stake dance, this one boy kept on putting his hand on the girl's butt. And I went up to him and said, do one more time, I'm going to break your arm. And then I got, funny is I got counseled, like, we don't talk to kids like that. But then the girls came up to me and said, oh, thanks for saying something. But I was surprised, like, well, why didn't you say no? I didn't know what to say. I'm like, try the word no, walk away. Give them a right hook. You have plenty of options, but people are just too scared to say anything. The standards, that's inappropriate, but you froze.
Mm-hmm. So, were there appropriate policies in place to prevent the security lapse?
I mean, I'm sure there probably were, but whether or not they were taken is a different story.
Yeah.
Oh, man. What could TSA do to make the TSA job more meaningful?
Meaningful. Wow. I don't know how can you make a job like that meaningful. Except that you save the airplane from possible terrorism. I don't know. I don't know what else.
Yes. And the next one is, how do TSA's hiring practices contribute or hurt its mission?
Say that again?
How do TSA's hiring practices contribute or hurt its mission?
What are their hiring practices? I don't know if I read that.
I was going to say, did we read about that?
I was thinking I missed it too. It's a question on the
Okay.
list. We can skip that one.
Okay. I thought I was being dumb. I didn't read that.
Is there?
Now, we discussed how many checkpoints there were and how many people that person had to go by before they actually got to Sanchez. So what percentage of the breach do you think was Sanchez's fault, and what percentage was the TSA's fault? Give an actual number. Let's say between 1 to 10.
You mean percentage-wise, what was his fault?
Yes.
Well, I kind of go, he's a scapegoat, so I'm going to give him a 6. And then the rest of everyone's a 4. Because he got caught.
Yeah, I agree with that. Okay.
That's good because they did say his head was turned. He wasn't watching.
Right.
So, yeah.
Okay. Now we're supposed to role play. And we're supposed to choose a male and a female. So, Paul, do you feel up for role playing?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. How about if we do Paul and Kim? Is that okay? You're going to role play the discussion between Mina O'Reilly and Ludo Sanchez. And it says, try to choose a woman. We chose Kim and we chose Paul. And it says, let me see. in your roles, you're going to be serious, and you're going to act the way you think they would have acted, assuming you were in that position. Now, the person acting as O'Reilly, this is the moment when Sanchez is showing up for work. She needs to tell him what her decision is, and then have them do the role playing. So that's what you guys are going to do. She's showing up for work, she's saying what her decision is, and then we're going to take it from that point and go forward.
I think I'd start off with O'Reilly. I'm very apologetic. I know how much money this costs and how much time and effort and protocols are all there. I'm willing to do whatever. I want my job, and I hope we can see past this one mistake. And I'm willing to not put this behind me as of yet, but I'll work hard to earn your respect and to get this push past behind me, but not immediately.
You're a highly respected employee. We really value your work here at TSA. You do a really great job, and customers love you as well.
Thank you.
It's something that was quite a serious incident, and at this point we're going to ask that you take an unpaid day off just to kind of reflect on the seriousness of the case. And then we will reconvene at that point, and if any further actions need to be taken, we will assess it at that point.
Awesome. Okay. Now, Jill, what did you notice about their role playing? Anything stand out?
Well, what I liked about Paul's role playing was the fact that he came in knowing that he had done something wrong and was ready to accept whatever consequences because he wanted to keep his job. And what I liked about Kimberly's role playing was the fact that she was ready to talk to him. She had obviously thought about what she was going to talk to him about and had already decided before he walked in what direction she was going to take with him. So they were both prepared.
Right.
Which was good. Yeah.
Very good. Okay. Now it says O'Reilly, the person who played O'Reilly. What was difficult to say in this conversation?
What was difficult to say? I think it's kind of hard to tell somebody you have to take a day off and think about what you did.
Yeah.
To tell somebody that they're in trouble, I don't think is ever enjoyable.
Mm-hmm. Now, let me see. How would you tell someone you respect and care for that he is not performing? Anybody can answer that one. I would think that's kind of hard to do, especially if you have a good relationship with that person.
You know, that is hard, and I think it does get easier when you get older. Because it's important, if they're really your friend, you really care about them, it's important that they be able to trust you and know that you're going to be honest with them, because really you are trying to help them do better. And what better person to critique than someone who really cares about you and wants the best for you.
Right. Nicely said. Anybody else? Now, we're going to give a final decision about what we would have done in the case. Now, would we have fired Sanchez? Would we have put Sanchez on probation? Would we have given Sanchez paid leave? Or would we require Sanchez to receive additional training? Now, I know we said that earlier, but I think they just want us to recap on that as a final decision.
Well, I would be willing to say both. I would be willing to say a day unpaid and some retraining to encapsulate all that we, Paul and me and Regina, Kim all said. Because it probably would be a good idea for him to get retrained as well. So I think both things. But then going forward, let's not dwell on it. Let's just do better. And
yeah, I agree with the additional training too. I thought that was a good one. Definitely additional training. But I kind of would have wanted to pull in a few of those people who were along the path, also too.
Definitely.
Now, after everyone gives their final decision, tell the group what happened. It says Sanchez got a warning, but was not fired. However, 2 months later, he caused another serious breach. So, now that he's created another breach, what would you do now? Let's start with Kim.
Did they give any details on seriousness of the breach?
No.
Okay. I don't know, that's hard because he's so... Maybe if he's in that same role, maybe move him to a different area where he isn't responsible for watching them. Maybe for the next couple months he's at the where they scan your ID or whatever to start instead of over watching other people. Something where he kind of brings down his responsibility a little bit, and as he masters that again, then we can move him back up. But I think just to throw him back down as long as nothing serious happened, and have him work his way back up, because he is a good employee. We do like him, but we can't have that continue to happen. So I think we need to move him and start him over.
Jill, any thoughts on that?
Well, I would be hard pressed to not do something more serious. I think something permanent would have to go in his file. I would have to put him on a PIP. Definitely take him away from that job. Not put him back as quickly. Probably keep him away from that job for a long while, like at least 6 months. Because that's serious. I mean, 1 time fine, but 2 times it sends a bad message to the others as well, that this is serious. Even though you're a good employee, so the first time we probably weren't as harsh on you, but the second time it's irregardless of what kind of employee you are. We are talking about the safety of our nation, and so yeah, it would have to be very serious.
Yeah. One thing I would do is pull him aside. I would definitely want to remove him from the position, but I think I would want to know if it was a result of his being on that cell phone again. Did he make another phone call? If that's the case, I think one thing I would make sure is that no one takes their cell phones with them or uses them during working hours unless they're on a break or a lunchtime. That way they pay more attention to, and if they need to make a call, that they get excused and they make a call from like one of the landlines, like the company phones. That way it's at a station where someone is working at and they're limited and they're not on there and they're not distracted, meaning if they have to step away from their post to make a call, then someone's going to replace them and that focus is still going to be there. So that's just my thought.
At my job, I work in a construction type industry, and the workers are not allowed to take cell phones at construction sites, simply because of the cameras. Anyway, if there is an emergency type situation, the person can always get in touch with the superintendent. So if the daughter has the phone number of someone she can contact if there is an emergency that can get to her dad, that's another alternative for him not to have the phone. So if he's worried that he needs to check on her, that's just something else to consider, that she can reach out if she needs to if there's an emergency.
Great. So what does this teach us about discipline?
It's not easy.
Definitely not easy.
And I don't want to be in charge of it.
Yeah, I think the discipline side would be more stressful than the TSA job. Let's see. Final wrap. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I was going to say discipline is just almost like disciplining your children. I mean, a rule is a rule, and you have to follow.
Yes, that's true. Now, let's see. Any other comments? Because I think we're pretty much at the end. Okay, great. Now, let's see. This is where I ask you guys, what is the most important thing you learned from this case?
I had never heard of this discipline without punishment, and I like that. I'm not so much in a position now to where I have a lot of supervision over employees since I'm more in an HR position. But my prior job, I was over about 20 employees. I would have loved this approach to dealing with employee issues. So I really enjoyed learning that.
Right. Awesome. Him or Paul?
Okay. What was the question again?
Um, what was the most important thing you learned from this?
Okay, what I learned. Yeah. I don't think I'd say I learned it, but I would say that punishment thing. But then I'd also say that no matter what you do, you're not gonna please everybody. And I think this lesson pointed out that no matter what you do, you're still gonna be wrong, and no one's gonna be happy, and some people would be, and some people won't. And that there's many different ways to approach this, not just one way. So that's what I learned this week.
Okay. Awesome. Okay. Now, how would you rate the overall quality of today's discussion?
I thought it was excellent.
Yeah, especially with the skeleton crew here.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, we did keep it moving, which was nice. Let's see. What did I do as a discussion leader that you kind of liked?
I like the fact that you explained the questions because some of the questions I didn't quite understand it, but you seem to have a good understanding of what they were wanting us to say or where they were trying to lead us, and so that helped me tremendously.
All right, very good. And what can I do better next time?
Do
I'd
everything
like to learn from this.
do everything the same.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
You did great.
Great. All right. Well, thank you, guys. Thank you. Now, next week, Kim has it.
I think Guillermo's helping me. Is that the other one that volunteered?
Yes.
It's a two-person.
So, Kimberly, I have 3 of my solutions ready. I need to still work on the 4th solution. So I'll send that to you like in a couple of days so you can start putting it together. Will that be okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
I think, because let's see, I would say like Thursday night of next week probably would be where I want it. That way I have time, because our friend's coming into town Thursday night, and then we have stuff Friday, Saturday that I can work in between stuff, but I'm not going to have a lot of sit-down time to just sit and write. So if I can get it hopefully by Thursday, then that'll help me.
You mean you're talking about a week from tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll probably have mine to you by this weekend.
Okay, fabulous.
You want to
better, that's cool.
Awesome.
Do you want to send out a reminder to everyone?
Yeah, I'll send out an email and a text or whatever.
So they'll know when you need it. Okay.
Good.
I will.
All right. Well, thank you, guys. It was a great meeting with you all.
Have a great rest of your night. Get better, Paul. Go take a nap.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Good night.